Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'm going to be discussing the third episode of the anime series, Suisei no Gargantia. Now, in the wake of Leto's taking out the fleet of pirates that had come to reap whatever spoils the floating city of Gargantia had accrued since their last encounter in the previous episode, we find that Amy, Bellows, and the rest of the higher echelons of command on Gargantia are understandably worried. And let me just stop here for a moment to note that there seems to be two potential ways to refer to Leto by name in this series, as Leto, what we can hear being spoken aloud by the other characters, and the way the series is usually subbed, or as Red, what it seems Leto is meant to translate to. In an attempt to try to avoid confusion as well as mutually adhere to some sense of continuity, however, I'll be sticking with referring to him as Leto for the entirety of the series. Just wanted to make a note of that. But the worry shown by the aides of Fleet Commander Fairlock, the leader of Gargantia, in regard to what Leto achieved, which was effectively, as he puts it, annihilating the entirety of the first wave of pirates, is not strictly limited to the power Leto and his machine Caliber wields, but the retaliation they know to be imminent if the pirates prove themselves to be true to form. There's even briefly some question as to whether Gargantia should consider giving Leto up to the pirates, this alternative being largely suggested as emphasis to show just how big a threat that these pirates really are, and thankfully it's one that isn't well received. Instead, do we see Amy taking Bellows to Leto in a sort of peacemaking gesture, but also as a means by which to try to understand just what it was Leto was thinking, and how he dealt with these pillaging foes. In this scene, again, I have to say I love the interaction between these two distinct sides, the gap between them being bridged by the translation matrix of Chamber, Leto's machine caliber AI. The emphasis on the new and unfamiliar cultures trying to understand each other is something rarely seen in entertainment formats anymore, without it being relegated to an exploitative sense of humor. Here, at least to me, the idea of attempting to learn another language, to bridge a gap not previously encountered, and to push past such earthly boundaries is an intriguing one. But just as interesting is the discussion Bellows and Leto have, to the effect of speaking about the value of life, the value of protecting it, what the fact that they must carry arms means to the diplomacy that comes with the very undiplomatic pirate nations that inhabit this world, and what it all means to them as people. These are alien concepts to Leto, in spite of the fact that he understands them. Understanding will guide his learning to move beyond what he knows so well, but he has yet to live that kind of life. So we see, and likely will continue to see, ways in which he doesn't quite get where these Gargantian people are coming from. I really loved the phrase, though, give fresh water to the one who catches the fish. It embodies the concept of being grateful for what you have, being appreciative for those that made it possible, and giving some back. But whether it stands in contrast to the rest of their discussion about needing to make a show of their armaments as a means of preserving themselves is left, I think, to the personal politics of the viewers as individuals. And I also have to say that I absolutely loved Amy's sort of stupefied smile all throughout this discussion. Suffice to say, though, Fairlock and his people are right to be worried about the pirate retaliation, as we are introduced to Empress Luckridge, the leader, for all intents and purposes, of the pirate clan that attacked them, and that carries the banner of a lobster. Not to be outdone by the ravaging Leto wrought on them, she orders a reciprocation attack. So far in this series, the battles have been surprising and dynamic, I have to say. Yes, we've seen that the inhabitants of this world have mecha-like suits and wares that they utilize for their daily survival, but it was somewhat unexpected to see Luckridge piloting one of her own, which was attuned to the purpose of pillaging and wreaking havoc itself. She manages to cross, not with an altogether misguided confidence, the border ships that have tried to stave off the oncoming attackers. In fact, she does this with such speed and ease that she manages to get just feet away from the command hub of Gargantia and the commander Fairlock himself. But here we see just what type of man Fairlock is, as evidenced by his willingness to give himself up to Luckridge if it means it will assuage her taste for vengeance and blood. Just in the nick of time, of course, Leto snaps to it and snags Luckridge's Yunboro, the lobster, from behind. And just as swiftly on the coattails of this, we see Luckridge's two geisha or slaves or what have you, her underlings, coming in an attempt to rescue her. It was still very much a one-sided battle, with Leto never losing the upper hand, and with hilarious results, I have to say, as he spins Luckridge and her minions in the air and launches them, sending them miles off. But I also found it interesting that one of her cast is heard to cry at the battle charge, Semper Fi. Of course, we know that this Waterworld planet is meant to be Earth, but it was still a surprising thing to realize that Latin, a language not seeming to bear any relevance to these people, is still in some kind of usage, especially considering it's being a popular motto of the U.S. Marines. And in case you were curious what it means, Semper Fi is a somewhat shorthand form of the Latin Semper Fidelis, which translates to always loyal. In the end, though, once Luckage and her brood are sent packing, Fairlock, in a somewhat surprising turn, asks Ridget how she thinks they should continue to deal with Leto. This because apparently her father was a man of some importance to Fairlock, and he misses this man's guidance. I guess he sees in Ridget a similar sense of leadership capability. Now, seeing as Leto has managed to once again fend off the entire fleet of pirateers, and this time without taking any lives to boot per his earlier agreement with them, the people of Gargantia are grateful to him, and their gratitude, shown through their cheers of arigato, again give us some insight as to just how different these people are from Leto, as evidenced by the fact that he must now consult Chamber to understand what it is they're trying to say. From there, we're left with somewhat of a happy ending. Leto climbs out of his machine caliber and makes his first attempt at speaking their language, repeating the term arigato, Japanese for thank you. And there we're left to ponder just what the next step for Leto and these people of Gargantia will be. We see from the OP animation hints that at some point Leto may become accustomed to living on this world, become even a citizen of Gargantia. But I suspect reaching this level of peaceful common ground is yet to be truly earned, or as the old saying goes, I suspect they're not out of the woods just yet. They're still learning to do on both sides, and that is set to make a lot of intriguing and entertaining twists and turns in this series as it continues. And then there's the added aspect of potential threats as yet to be encountered, from other pirate factions who may or may not attack singularly, or eventually bridge their forces with other factions to go against Gargantia en masse, to other possible forces that may have fallen through the wormhole Leto did, whether human or the Hideos they were fighting. Anything is possible in this series from here on, and I'm left excitedly anticipating seeing more of this world and the cultures of the populace that inhabits it. And otherwise, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of Suisei no Gargantia, Episode 3 if you've seen it. What do you think the next step of the series is, now that Leto seems to be on good terms with the people of Gargantia, and yet not on such good terms with the pirates? And so, that'll be it for me on this one. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you later. Peace.